Okay, so hello everyone. Thank you for joining us today. In this new Madrid-GUG meetup, I'm going to introduce the group very quickly. How many of you are the first time that come to Madrid-GUG? Okay, welcome. So we are Madrid-GUG user group. That is our website, madrid-gug.com. We talk about Groovy and about everything related to the Groovy ecosystem. So if you want to learn more, go to our website. We have like 10 years of recorded talks. And if you want to give a talk, you know we are a small group, so you will feel at home. We have open collective just to pay some bills for the group, the domain, the meetup, and that stuff. So if you want to collaborate with the group, and that's it. That's our sponsors. Adaptavis, he pays meetups, Sparkers, JetBrains, and Reach. We have, I think, 2 or 3 JetBrains licenses to raffle after the talk, and we have also 1 Madrid-GUG talk. Sorry, map. So if you are interested in entering the raffle, go to that URL or that QR code and just sign up. You only need to put your name there just to enter the raffle. I will put the link after the talk, so you can do it now or you can do it afterwards. It's not a problem. We can do it twice. And that's all. Thank you.
Okay, so I will start the talk Groovy when Google meets Groovy. First of all, thank you to come to my talk. As I advise you, I will present the talk in English. English is not my mother language, so I hope to be able to explain what I want to transmit. If something is not, I'm not able to transmit very well after the talk, if you want, we can talk about it slowly and different, okay? So, first of all, let me introduce myself. I'm Jorge Aguilera. I'm P Vida Software in Twitter. He is from Pura Vida Software. I'm working in Groovy more or less in years, but every day I learn something new in Groovy. So this is one of the reasons because I fell in love with Groovy. Before to start the talk, I would like to know a little more about you. So please, can you raise your hand if you work or you know Groovy? What is Groovy? Perfect. Maybe you are working with Google API, or you know what is Google API? Perfect. And the most important question, because the talk will be about, do you know what is this acronym, DSL? Okay, more or less. Yes, don't worry. If you don't know what is DSL, the aim of this talk is about DSL. So I hope at the end you know a little more about DSL and you want to create or write your DSL. Okay? So a DSL is a domain-specific language. Domain-specific language. There are a lot of definitions. Maybe the best definition is from Martin Fowler. There are a lot of definitions, but to me, is a very, very good definition of Martin Fowler, because a domain-specific language, a DSL, is a small language. Small in the sense that it has rules, it has keywords, but it's not the aim of DSL is not to have we can say, for example, a human language. It's something restricted, and restricted for a specific area. So specific languages from this. So it's a language for a specific business, if you want to think about it. Well, Martin Fowler says you don't write a full program. For example, you don't write an accountability program with a DSL. Maybe you mix different DSL. So to know a little more what is a DSL, probably this is the most, I think, if it's not the most famous, probably it's one of the most, SQL. SQL is a DSL in the sense that it has keywords, it has some rules, and you need to follow the rules, because if you write the sentence in another way that it doesn't understand, it will not work. So for example, SQL has the keyword select, and after select you need to put the field that you want to retrieve, okay? And it has the keyword from. So it has some keyword and some rule. And another aspect of important at DSL is that with this syntax, behind this syntax, what the DSL is trying to do is the user is agnostic about what is behind this syntax. So you write the syntax and the DCL try to solve what you want. Okay? So you don't need to fight about tables or files, logs, etc. Okay? So this is, for example, the end of this DSL. Another kind of DSL, for example, is Gradle. It's another kind of write a DSL, because Gradle defines several keywords, a repository, dependencies, and they decided to use, for example, brackets. And you put into the bracket different, you follow the syntax, okay, using brackets. For example, you with API, it's a reserved keyword that you use to tell to Gradle that you want to use this artifact to compile, but not to implement the artifact that you are building. Okay. Another kind of more, this is probably a more programmer DSL is when you write, when you use the fluent style of Java, for example. Why this is a DSL? Because when you are writing the method from, in some way you are into the syntax that this method defines. I mean, when you write from, the return for this method can be one of these, or probably more, you have more options, but what I want to say is, in the middle of this you can write an if. You can write an if, because you are following the rules of this DSL, okay? So keyword and syntax. And this is a language, okay? So with this in mind, this is a short and quickly introduction to what is a DSL. The topic of why I repeat a lot DSL, because my talk is about a DSL that I wrote. It's Groogle. Groogle is the contraction between Google and Groovy. Okay? So I started Groogle before to think that I was able to write a DSL. It started because a friend of mine asked me if I could write a command line utility for retrieve the events from the calendar. So I wrote a Groovy script, 20 lines more or less, okay? Run this and you have the events of your calendar. Obviously, next day he told me, okay, now I want to create an event. And next day, okay, and now I want to delete the event that I created yesterday, all from command line. And at the end I realized I have, I don't know, maybe 10 scripts, the same script, and I thought, could be great if I can create some DSL, some language, very simple, very human, because as I will show you, the API of Google is not so easy. So I thought, maybe I can create some language for my friends. And okay, this is the language, run your script and forget me. No? The spoiler, my friend never used it. Okay. So this is the idea. I started here, and I started to write Groogle, and at the end we have a collection of DCS. We have more or less 6 DSL, but all of them under the umbrella of Groogle. All of them are very similar. I will show you right now. So more or less we have okay. If you are working with Google API, if not, this is a screenshot taken from the Google web documentation. So this is Java, okay, it's perfect. You need to use the ID of a splitter, the range, you need to read, blah blah blah, it's Java, okay? You have Python or whatever you want, but this is a piece of code in Java. And this is more or less, and I will show you after, Groovy. So what I want to write is, behind this DSL, there is the same line I show you in Java. But the user see this kind of DSL. So for example, he has you have the method find splitter, and you pass an ID, and with this splitter I want to find a sheet with this name, and with this I want to write in the first row the title, the author, and the URL. Okay? So as I told you, behind this there are a lot of lines of Java, to be honest, of Groovy, okay? But this is what the user writes, okay? So a quickly recap of things of Groogle is still in Java 8. I need to upgrade, I know it. I need time to upgrade because Java 8, I think that is deprecating, but I need time to upgrade. It's using a recent version of Groovy. It's not so. I want to upgrade also to Groovy 4, but I need time. Good thing is that you can grab from Maven Central. So I published the artifact in Maven Central. You can download it, and although you can use in your program, you can use and write this DCL. I found very fun. I think that is perfect between for scripts. But it's something that I will show you right now. Probably to sort a script is very easy. I have a DSL for Drive, for Sheet, email, blah blah blah. BigQuery is in progress. I started, but I forget it. Recently I started photos. Okay, BigQuery I forget it because at the end I didn't use, so I forget it. Nobody requests me, so okay. I want to say also I include this slide to not forget advice if you after the talk think that if you feel that you want to write a DSL is an advice. Groogle has a documentation. I wrote the documentation. You can find the documentation here. So it's in Spanish. Sorry, I need time to migrate to English. You have here, for example, how to send an email using. So to send, this is Groogle. To send an email, you write this, and the email is dispatched. Okay. What I want to say with this slide and this documentation is not only that I would like to have an English documentation, it's an advice that, in my opinion, the most difficult part when you are writing a DSL probably is the documentation of the DSL. More or less, document an API is more or less easy. You have method, input, output, return, exception. Okay? But to me, at least, document a DSL is more difficult. You need to explain the rules, the keyword. So I use a lot of examples in Groogle. I feel that I'm not showing to the user all that the thing that they can do. Okay? So this is only an advice if you want to write your DSL. So here I have a lot of slides talking about the Google Drive sheet, showing you the closure. But I thought that probably it's funny to see in action. So, cross my feet. I will use a directory. You can see the screen. No, it's only two command line. After I will change to IntelliJ. So it's only to create the page code. Okay, I can open with. I will open this directory. Let me open the. Where is? Sorry. Oh. Okay. So basically, I open it with IntelliJ. This directory. I will create. I have a template to not spend time. So what I will do right now is configure. I will configure IntelliJ to have all the dependencies. When you are running from command line, you don't. It's not necessary. But I would like to show you how we can work with Groovy, for example. I have here a lot of. I will use Groovy. Okay, I will do this. Okay, I will set also the version. Nothing more. And last step that I need to prepare this script is grab the artifacts. Okay, right now, basically what I have created a directory. I created a Groovy file with nothing special. I will show you what it is, and downloaded the dependencies, nothing more. Okay, so the dependencies are three different projects of Groovy. I have several imports. Okay, nothing special. So right now, what I
Presentation mode.
yes, thank you. So I learned control that. Presentation mode. Okay. So now, as I downloaded all the dependencies and grabbed the artifacts, thank you to some features that I will show you, IntelliJ is able to interact with Groogle and help me to complete the DSL. For example, writing build, it understands that I want to use one of these functions, for example this. And it understands that is this function. So we can, for example, without credential, another application name, for example, a page code, using credentials. So you need to I need to and with a scope. So all these keywords that I'm writing here and that IntelliJ help me, all these places are from Groogle. Okay? With the scopes, for example, with Drive scopes, this is a class from Google. And what I'm doing right now is serving scopes, for example, email scopes, email set. What I'm doing here is defining. I'm telling to. Sorry. One thing that go here. This is the presentation mode. It's a little. Okay. So I define it. I'm telling to Groogle, behind to Google, that I want to use. I want to authenticate a user. This is why I use an OAuth credential. So the user who want to run this script need to give me access, okay, and give me access to this scope, to access to my drive, to my spreadsheet, and my Gmail service. Okay, I will register, for example, a drive service builder. I will register a seed service and I will register a main service builder. Yeah. Okay. And now with this I can do, for example, the idea is that I will collect all files on my drive. For example, I will call to this DSL of the Google service. I will then using this drive service find files. Each file I will insert into this list. For example, the file's ID and file in singular, file ID, file name. As you can see, it's turning. Okay. After.
You left a comma on line 19.
Sorry?
You left a comma on line 19.
Oh, yes, here, right? Yeah, thank you. And now we will use the service, seed service, and I will tell, create a spirit set. I will call, for example, a package. Well, create a seed, for example, and with this I will write in the first row the ID and the name, for example, and I will create a range, for example, in A2 B file size, okay, that 2. I will insert here fields. And for example, at the end, I will use the service, email service, and I will send an email to me. So welcome, okay. Title text, for example, with a body, total files, for example, files. Okay. Now I need to exit. I need to exit from the presentation mode because I need more space. I need to copy a file. I will not spend more time explaining why this file. This is a file required by Google. I need to put this. This is the file with the credential to be able to run this script. Okay, this is a file that you download from Google. So, if all is okay, the idea is that I will run the script. As a user, I authorize this script to access to my drive and to my Gmail, to my sheet in Google, and send me an email to me. As you can see here, well, I have several sheets, but none of them call it a page code. So I will try to run the scripts. Okay. Now I will authorize this script to, if you remember, this is the scope that I said that this script can access. So, okay, I will allow it. Okay, I allow it. So, if all is okay, let me check. No. All no is okay because. Okay, I have some error here, but I will remove this.
Esto lo tengo más preparado, copio y pego.
The plus 2 is inside the brochure of the sprite size.
I will try. So, I don't know. Let me check here now. Okay, now it's finished. Okay. So if I refresh my okay. Here I have the sheet created, and we see the name. If I have the script, I will the script very well without error. Here we can see the ID with the names from my drive. And if all is okay, and I go to my Google, I have a total files. Okay, so more or less this is the live coding with some error. Sorry, but this is the idea of Groovy. So behind this small script, there are a lot of Java code. Okay, but I think that probably if the DSL is not very well or is not useful, it's probably my fault because I was not able to find the right syntax or maybe the good word. Okay, because it's difficult to design a DSL and think what the user want to write. Okay, but probably if you start your DSL, you will not find as me. So last session, last part of my talk. I don't know. I forget to count the time. I don't know how many time I did. Perfect. So why I recommend, why I choose Groovy to write a DSL is obvious. I'm falling in love with Groovy. To me, it's perfect language. But why some people will use Groovy to write a DSL? So Groovy, if you don't know, is a powerful language. All people think that it's only Java without parentheses. It's more of this. Okay. It's static, it has a static compilation, blah 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 blah. But there are some features. Groovy has some feature characteristic inherent in the language that, in my opinion, is very powerful to write a DSL. I wrote only 5, but there are a lot of more. Okay. So, for example, command chains. if you write in Java or in another language, probably you understand this very well. This is a method, this is an argument. The return of this method you can change with this other method, pass another argument, blah 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 blah. This is very easy to understand for a programmer, right? This is the same code in Groovy, so Groovy can understand this perfectly because Groovy is not Java, but understands Java, okay? But Groovy also understands this without nothing more. Groovy is able to understand if you don't write the parentheses nor the dot. So it can change this command. So probably for us not some programmer people, this is more friendly to read than the Java version. So this is one of the features in Groovy. Another feature very interesting is the overloading an operator. For example, in Java you can override a class. If you have two classes, you can add, you can use this. But in Groovy, you can, for example, add a tobacco with a tomato, and you can return a tomato.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You can return a tomato with Java, but with Groovy you can, because you can override plus, minus, power. I don't know the name, but you have all the operators you can overload. So for the user, this is very easy to write, to understand, to read, and it's very easy to implement. Groovy has another feature very interesting, that is categories. With categories, what you are doing when you enter into a category in this bracket, what this category is telling to the compiler, this is important, to the compiler is, okay, this category will add new methods to this, and to these classes. Not to everyone, no. It will add a method, for example, month to the classes number. It will add minute to these classes. So you can write this, someday minute, 3 months, because the category is telling to the compiler that it will add this and this, return at date. Okay? So this is another very powerful feature. This is to me one of the, probably people don't like this, but I like it a lot. Is the missing method or missing property. This is another feature in Java. This is when you are executing dynamic language. When you are compiling, you are using a compiled version, the compiler checks that all methods that you are calling exist and it can verify the arguments, etc. But when you are running Groovy in dynamic way, you can write something and run, and the Groovy virtual machine will detect if you are calling something that doesn't exist. And in Groovy, if the property of the missing, the property of the method doesn't exist, you can catch this exception, this situation, not this exception. You can catch this situation overwriting this method. So, for example, if you remember when I wrote in the script A1 equal to title or B2, the implementation doesn't have 7 millions of variables. I don't have A1, A2, A3, 4, no. What I'm doing is implementing this property missing, and if you are trying to access to a variable with this pattern, with letter and number, I think, I say, okay, what you are trying to do is go to the C. So, in this part, so here, to be more or less the idea, here, if you are trying to access, to write or to read this pattern of variable, I go to this C and read or write. If not, I find a property missing. Okay? So this is another very interesting feature of Groovy. Not everyone like it, but to me, I like it better. Closures is another powerful thing in Groovy. Groovy has closures before Java has Lambda. And why I write this slide, or why we have this slide? Not only because the closure is powerful in Groovy, is because you have another notation that is delegates to. And to me, this is another good feature in Groovy. This annotation is probably how to say, when I was writing with IntelliJ, the DSL, you realize that the IntelliJ was able to complete what I want to write. Okay, it know that between a bracket in a closure, I was able to write without credential. Without credential, you was able to understand that I want to write application name. Why? Because this closure was annotated with delegates to. The delegates to is very complicated to explain to me in Spanish, so more in English. But the idea I try to explain with these three pieces of code. More or less, this is what the user writes: email from to. Okay, this is the DSL. This email is this function, and what this function receives is a closure. A closure is what is into this bracket. Okay, so what does the implementation is, okay, I will receive the closure, and I will instruct to the compiler and to IntelliJ that this closure will use a class email spec, and it will use this closure in a delegated only way. It doesn't mean that when this closure will run, all things that this closure can do is what email spec allows, more or less. Okay? So this is very, very powerful. Closure is very powerful. The mechanism of the delegates owner is very powerful, but the delegates to the annotation of delegates to is very interesting to interact with the user, as you saw in the example. So there are a lot of more features in Groovy that most of them I don't know, but there are a lot. So to recap, it's good to have an API, but why don't you have also a DSL? So you have, for example, Google have an API, but with an DSL you can attract users to your product, for example. Okay? To me, Groovy, lot of features. I want to recap delegates too. I'm a big fan of delegates too. All of these are Groogle that you can use, is published in Maven or whatever you want. I have fun. So what I want to say is have fun. Create your project, your pet project. It started as several scripts, and I spent a lot of hours, but enjoying it. So why do you not? And I will end this presentation with a question, because more or less this presentation, I did this presentation a couple of years ago, and you were, if I remember well, yes, in the Codemotion. And someone told me, okay, this is very easy, this is very fun, it's nice, okay, the user, blah, 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 but why? Why? Who is interested to create a DSL? A DSL is not so important, no? More or less what they send. Okay, so I want to show you a product that is a real product that is in the market, is Nextflow. Nextflow is a DSL made in Groovy. Is used mainly for the scientific community. Bioinformatics, for example, are using a lot this DSL the use are increased it a lot because the pandemic, for example. So it has, for example, it's a DSL that someone designed with, for example, it's for create process and workflow channels. So, okay, so what I want to say is that there are there are products and they are making money with well, the product is open source, but you know, an open source can make money with support, with selling to consultoria. I don't know. Okay, so helping to the user. Okay, so this is how they are increasing the user. So blah blah blah. So with this, I want to show you a real use case that is in the market, used with ADSL in Groovy in the market. Okay. This is all. I don't know how many time I spent, but yeah, I know. And this is the most part to me in English because I don't understand anything. Questions?
How many people are using nowadays this library?
Google?
Yeah.
Or
Google.
Between 1 and 2 million of people. Between 1 and 2 million. No, it's not a. It's a, as I said, it's a pet project.
Okay.
So I know that some people, as I told you, I did this talk a couple of years ago with first version of Groogle, and I know that one company at least is using integrating, for example, the Drive with an ERP that they have. So they are running some little script to read from Drive as it and insert into ERP. But to be honest, it's not. I saw the statistic in Marine Central. I was surprised about it because it has a lot of downloads.
And to me, it's a very interesting use case for any company.
I will be very happy to make money with this.
Maybe
No,
a
it-
premium model.
Yes, if you think that it can help you, I will be very happy to talk more about it, whatever you want.
Congratulations.
Thanks. More?
As the workload seems to be high, and as you say, you can reach every I mean, like migrating to Java, I don't know, 17 or 18, and updating Gradle, and the BigQuery implementation and many features that you are working on. Why don't making it like open source?
No, it's open source.
It's open source.
It's open source, of course.
sorry.
Of course. This is a good question to include in the final version of the presentation. Yes, of course. Yes, I forgot it. Yes, you have GitLab. It's in GitLab. I need to do the login. Blah, blah, blah. Let me see. But
Why?
if you go to GitLab Groogle, you can grab the
Why
commit.
in GitLab and
Nobody has by the moment creating not any pull requests, but pull requests are welcome. I will include in the final version. Thank you.
Why in GitLab and not in GitHub?
Good question. I like it, the business model of GitLab more than GitHub. I know that GitHub is the most popular repository, but I like it, GitLab.
Okay.
It started, for example, it offered to me pipeline, for example, for free many years before to GitHub
Yeah, that's
started,
true.
for example. So, well, I don't know. I like it.
Okay.
Nothing more?
Stop.
Okay.